Maya said I don't have a mother. The second she opened the door of the house I bought her the house I wired $3.2 million for, and signed over with shaking hands and happy tears, because I believed I was giving my daughter a safe launchpad into her dream life. Instead, she stood there in a faded apron with a bleach stain near the hem, hair pulled back too tight like she didn't have time to be a person, and her eyes looked right through me like I was a random lady selling magazine subscriptions. I'm Dr. Diana Mitchell, and I've spent most of my life reading people. Patients who swear their pain is nothing, families who hide the truth behind polite smiles, coworkers who pretend they're fine while burning out. But nothing prepared me for the moment my own daughter erased me with one sentence and then tried to shut the door on my face like I was nobody. You know, when someone steals your car, you call the police. When someone steals your money, you call a lawyer. But what do you do when someone steals your child's mind and convinces her you never existed? Because that's exactly what it felt like. Like I was watching a slick predator rewrite my daughter's memory in real time, and I could see it happening but couldn't grab it back with my hands. Let me back up, because the how matters. Maya is 26, brilliant, stubborn in that way smart kids are, with a Master's in psychology, and the kind of empathy that makes strangers spill their secrets to her in grocery store lines. After my husband died and I became a single mom in my 40s, Maya and I got close in that intense, ride-or-die way you do when life strips your family down to the essentials. She grew up hearing me say, "We tell the truth in this house," and she believed it, so much that she would call me out if I tried to downplay how tired I was after a shift. 2 years ago, I took a medical director role in Toronto. It was a big deal and a big move, and Maya told me she wanted to stay in California. "Mom, this is where my work is," she said over dinner, chewing slowly like she'd rehearsed it. "Trauma survivors, real people, real healing. I belong here." I respected that. I was proud of her, and I wanted to support it the way my parents never could for me, so I made the biggest financial commitment of my life. On June 15, 2022, I transferred $3.2 million from my Wells Fargo account to purchase 1247 Maple Street in Palo Alto for Maya. Clean paperwork, safe neighborhood, close to her clinic, the kind of address that screams stability. I also set up the Mitchell Family Trust with $2.1 million, naming her the primary beneficiary, with a professional manager in place so nobody could sweet-talk her into signing away her future. I remember handing her the deed in the driveway. She cried, like real ugly cry happy tears, and I hugged her and thought, okay, I did one thing right. I gave my kid a foundation. For the first year, everything looked normal. We FaceTimed regularly. She'd tell me stories about her clients, and that one coworker who always stole lunch from the fridge and blamed the cleaning staff. She was dating casually, nothing serious. She sounded like herself. Then she started mentioning a man named Brandon. Just little references at first. Brandon helped me get organized. Brandon understands me. Brandon is so supportive. It was gradual, which is how manipulation works when it's done by someone who knows what they're redoing. The biggest red flag should have slapped me in the face when she said, "He's a lawyer. Real estate and estate planning. He's helping me understand the paperwork you set up." My daughter didn't need help understanding paperwork. She was meticulous, the kind of person who color codes her calendar and reads the fine print for fun. But I was working long hours flying back and forth trying to prove I wasn't too old to be effective in a leadership role in a new country, and I trusted Maya's judgment because I wanted to believe she had the life I built for her. After Christmas, the calls got less frequent. When we did talk, her voice sounded quieter, like she was careful about every word. Sometimes I'd hear Brandon in the background, always polite, always somehow steering the conversation. If I asked Maya a direct question, she'd glance away like she was checking for permission. I told myself, she's busy. Then I told myself, Stop being that hovering mom. But my gut kept tapping me on the shoulder. And I've learned over decades that when your gut won't shut up, it's because it's picking up something your heart doesn't want to admit. So last month I decided to surprise her. No warning, no "hey honey, what time should I come by?" Because I wanted to see her in her normal environment. Meet Brandon face to face and reassure myself that this wasn't in my head. I booked a flight that landed Tuesday at 2:15 p.m., a time I knew she'd likely be home from work. I imagined her face lighting up when she opened the door. I imagined her laughing, calling me dramatic, telling me I should have texted. I imagined the warm kind of chaos you get when family is happy to see you. What I got was a cold porch and my daughter's eyes treating me like a stranger. When I rang the bell at 1247 Maple Street, the woman who opened the door looked like Maya. Yes, but it was like someone had dimmed the lights behind her face. "Can I help you?" she asked politely, like I was delivering a package. I smiled because I thought she was kidding at first. "Maya, it's me," I said, stepping forward. "It's Mom." She tilted her head, confused. I don't have a mother," she said. "You must have the wrong house." Before I could even breathe, a man appeared behind her, just over her shoulder, and the air shifted. He was tall, well-dressed in that harmless sweater and chinos way, clean haircut, nice teeth, a practiced look of concern. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, voice calm, like he was the manager at a hotel dealing with a noisy guest. Maya looked up at him like a kid checking with a teacher. "This woman says she's my mother," Maya told him, dead serious. The man looked at me with pity, which immediately made my blood boil. "Maya's mother abandoned her years ago," he said smoothly. "She's been very clear about not wanting contact with family." I watched my brilliant, independent daughter nod along in agreement, like he was speaking facts out of a textbook. That's when the floor dropped out under me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't she forgot to take her meds, or she's mad at you. This was engineered. I forced my voice to stay steady. "I'd like to speak with Maya privately," I said. He didn't blink. "That's not going to happen," he replied. "She's asked me to handle these kinds of situations. These kinds of situations. Like concerned mothers showing up with some recurring nuisance that needed management." I looked past him into the house. My house. The one I bought to protect my daughter. I could see movement in the kitchen. Maya wiping down counters with mechanical precision, like she was following a checklist, not living her own life. "This is her house," I said. "I bought it for her." The man's expression flickered, just a tiny glitch in the mask. "Actually," he said, reaching into his jacket pocket, "there's something you should know." He pulled out a manila folder, the kind that makes your stomach drop because it's never good news. "Maya and I were married on January 8, 2024, he said, and handed me a marriage certificate with raised seals and official-looking signatures. "Maya never mentioned getting married. Not once. She didn't want to upset you," he added, like he was talking to a fragile old woman who couldn't handle change. "You've been critical of her choices before. Critical." I'd supported every decision she'd ever made. This was gaslighting, and he was doing it with a straight face. "I want to see the deed," I said, "because when you're drowning, you grab whatever you can. My name is on the deed." He smiled again, like I was adorable. "Sarah Mayo made some changes after we got married," he said. "Community property and all that." "I know what community property means," I snapped. He nodded, unfazed. "Then you know she had every right to modify ownership," he said, and pulled out another document, a quitclaim deed dated February 15, 2024, showing transfer to both of them. My daughter's signature was at the bottom. But as soon as I saw it, my heart went ice cold because something was off. I have seen Maya's handwriting 1,000 times. Her signature has a particular flourish and a certain pressure, like she commits to her name. This signature looked similar, but wrong, like someone traced it while holding their breath. Where did she sign this? I asked. At our attorney's office, he said. Everything was done properly. Which attorney? Confidential, he answered instantly. I stared at him, then at Maya, then at the paper again. Through the window, Maya looked up for a split second and our eyes met. And in that tiny moment I saw something that made my stomach twist. Not confusion, not annoyance, but fear. Real fear. She looked away too fast, like she'd been burned. That was the proof I needed. She wasn't setting boundaries. She was trapped. I stepped closer to the threshold, keeping my voice low so I didn't spook her. Maya, I said softly, if you want me to leave, tell me with your own words. Her throat bobbed. She didn't speak. The man's tone sharpened for the first time. Mrs. Mitchell, he said, I think you should go. Maya has moved on with her life. Accept it. He leaned in slightly, not touching me, but crowding my space the way predators do when they want to remind you who's in control. People change, he whispered. It's healthier when you don't resist. I backed up one step, not because he scared me, but because I could feel Maya watching, and I didn't want to escalate in a way that would make her pay for it later. Fine, I said, forcing calm. I'm leaving. For now. I walked down the path to the sidewalk, like my legs still belonged to me, got in my rental car and drove to the nearest coffee shop, because I needed a place with witnesses, and Wi-Fi, and enough oxygen to think. My hands were shaking so badly I spilled coffee on the table. I stared at the brown puddles spreading across the napkin and realized my daughter's whole life was doing the same thing. Quietly leaking away while everyone pretended it was normal. I made one call. Not to my best friend. Not to my hospital colleague. To someone I'd heard about through a continuing education conference, the kind of lawyer who handles cases where manipulation crosses into criminal territory. Her name was Amanda Ross, and she didn't do messy divorces or petty property fights. She did predators. When she answered, her voice was clipped but attentive. Amanda Ross, she said. This is Dr. Diana Mitchell, I replied. I think my daughter is being held psychologically hostage by a man claiming to be her husband. There was a pause. Then, tell me everything, she said. So I did. The house, the trust, the marriage certificate, the deed change, Maya's blank stare, the fear in her eyes, the man's calm control. Amanda didn't interrupt. When I finished, she asked questions that made my throat tighten. Any history of Maya wanting distance from you? No. Any major mental health issues? No. When did her personality start shifting? I thought back. Late fall, I said. She got quieter, more careful, like she was always being monitored. Amanda exhaled slowly. Doctor, she said, what you're describing fits a pattern. Pattern of what? My voice cracked on the last word because I already knew I was going to like the answer. Professional coercive control, she said. Financial exploitation paired with psychological conditioning. The type where the victim ends up defending the person harming them. My stomach rolled. You're saying he's doing this on purpose? I'm saying, she replied. I've seen this exact setup before. She told me about 3 case files, 3 women with sudden personality changes, isolation from family, mysterious marriages, property transfers. Same man, I asked, my voice barely there. Same man, Amanda confirmed, and something in her tone made my skin prickle like static. I gripped my phone harder. Why isn't he in prison? Because, she said, by the time we get traction, victims protect him. They see their family as the threat. And he's careful. He stays legal until he doesn't. She lowered her voice. Dr. Mitchell, listen closely. If you push too hard, too fast, he could disappear with her. Disappear where? Places that don't cooperate, she said. And once they cross certain lines, recovery gets complicated. My mind flashed to Maya's fearful eyes. What do? I asked. You meet me tomorrow morning. Amanda said. Santa Clara County Superior Court. 9:00 a.m. IM. Filing emergency motions tonight to freeze anything connected to the trust and flag the property transfer. Bring every document you have. I swallowed. I'll be there. One more thing, she added. Do not contact Maya directly again. If he senses pressure, he'll accelerate his timeline. We need to be surgical. Surgical. I understood surgical. I also understood that sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't when everything goes wrong. It's when everything looks fine and your instruments are screaming otherwise. My instruments were screaming. I hung up and stared out the coffee shop window at people living normal lives, laughing, walking dogs, carrying groceries, and I felt like I was watching a different planet. Somewhere across town, my daughter was scrubbing floors in a house I bought her, while a man with a fake smile used legal paper like handcuffs. I sat there until my breathing slowed, then opened my laptop and started pulling records. Wire transfers, trust documents, property purchase, paperwork, every clean piece of evidence that proved my relationship with my daughter and the financial structure meant to protect her. My phone buzzed with a new email, flight receipt, the one I'd used to surprise her. I stared at it, the irony making me want to scream. I hadn't surprised my daughter, I'd surprised her captor. And now he knew I was paying attention. That night, I barely slept. At 4 a.m., I received a notification from my bank. An attempted login from an unfamiliar device. My heart slammed. I changed every password, turned on every alert, locked down every access point like my life depended on it, because in a way, it did. Then, just as dawn started bleeding into the sky, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered on instinct, and the voice on the other end was no longer polite, no longer concerned husband. It was sharp, amused, and cold. Dr. Mitchell, the man said, you're making this messy. My spine went rigid. Where is my daughter? I demanded. He chuckled softly, like I'd told a joke. She's safe, he said. She's finally learning what a healthy boundary looks like. The audacity made my vision blur. If you forged documents, I started. Careful, he cut in, voice suddenly flat. Accusations can make people look unstable, especially older women under stress. He was laying a trap. He was building a story where I was the crazy mom. I realized then that this wasn't just about money or property. This was about control, about turning a brilliant woman into a puppet and turning the people who loved her into villains. I tightened my grip on the phone until my knuckles hurt. Listen to me, I said, voice low and steady. You picked the wrong family. He paused, like he was smiling. We'll see, he said. Oh, and doctor, stress isn't great for your heart. You should take it easy. The line went dead, leaving me staring at my phone like it had teeth. He knew about my medical history. He knew how to threaten me without saying the word threat. And right then, sitting in the dim light of my hotel room with a briefcase full of documents and a court hearing in a few hours, I understood something terrifyingly simple. This man didn't just want my daughter's money. He wanted her obedience. And if anyone interfered, he'd make sure they paid for it. I looked at the clock. 7:12 a.m. I had less than 2 hours before court. I shoved the last papers into my briefcase, washed my face, and stared at myself in the mirror. I wasn't young. My hair had silver threads. My face carried the lines of years and grief and long shifts. But my eyes were clear. Okay, I whispered to my own reflection. You want to play games? Cool. I'm done being nice. Then I grabbed my keys and walked out, because the next time I saw that man, it wouldn't be on my daughter's porch, with him acting like the gatekeeper. It would be in a courtroom with his lies under fluorescent lights, and I was bringing every receipt I had. Santa Clara County Superior Court at 9:00 a.m. Feels like somebody tried to build justice out of beige paint and stale air. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Security guards move like they've seen every kind of drama and nothing surprises them anymore. And people sit in plastic chairs pretending they're calm while their lives are actively falling apart. I walked in with my briefcase and my spine straight. But inside, my heart was doing that ugly little flutter it does when your body knows you walking into a fight you didn't ask for. Amanda Ross was already there, posted up near a corner table like she owned the building. She looked exactly like you. Want your lawyer to look when your world is on fire? Sharp suit, clean hair, zero nonsense in her eyes. The kind of woman who doesn't raise her voice because she doesn't need to. Dr. Mitchell, she said, standing and shaking my hand once, firm. You brought everything. I slid my briefcase onto the table and flipped it open. Wire transfer confirmations. Purchase docs. Trust docs. Screenshots of the attempted login last night. Timeline notes. And a photo of the deed copy he shoved in my face. Amanda didn't smile. She didn't say good job. She just started sorting my papers like she was building a weapon out of paperclips and ink. Okay, she said. Here's the deal. We're filing an emergency motion to freeze the trust distribution and flag any attempted liquidation. We're also filing a lis pendens against the property so it can be sold or leveraged without disclosure. That buys us time. Time for what? I asked. For the part where we prove coercion, she said, eyes on the page. And the part where we locate Maya safely if he tries to move her. My stomach tightened. You said you've seen this before. Same man. Amanda's jaw flexed once. Yeah. Different names, same playbook. He gets close. He isolates. He rewrites history. Then he gets signatures. And if anyone pushes, he spins them as unstable. I thought about the phone call that morning. Older women under stress. My hands went cold. Okay, I said. So what's the next step? Amanda tapped a pen against my documents, thinking. We don't go charging in. We don't show up at the house again. We do 2 tracks at once. Track 1 is legal. Locks on assets and property. Track 2 is evidence. We document the coercive control, the forged paperwork, and any prior victims. Prior victims, I repeated. Amanda looked up. You want Maya back? You're going to need a pattern. Judges don't like vibes. They like facts. A clerk called our case. Amanda moved like she'd done this 1,000 times, and I followed, trying not to look like I was one deep breath away from losing it. Inside the courtroom, the judge was an older man with tired eyes and a voice that sounded like he'd been inhaling legal dust for decades. Amanda spoke for me, fast and clean, explaining the trust, the property purchase, the sudden marriage, the attempted transfer, the isolation. She didn't dramatize. She didn't cry. She spoke like a surgeon explaining what needed to be removed. When she mentioned coercive control and financial exploitation, the judge's expression shifted slightly. Not sympathy, attention. Do you have proof of coercion? He asked. We have indicators, Amanda replied smoothly. Isolation from family, sudden marriage without disclosure, signature irregularities, and we anticipate additional evidence from prior incidents involving the same individual. The judge raised a brow. Same individual. Amanda didn't flinch. Yes, Your Honor. We believe this is not his first time running this scheme. We are requesting an emergency freeze and a temporary restraining order pending further investigation. The courtroom went quiet in that heavy way it does when people smell trouble. The judge flipped through a packet. I will grant a temporary freeze on trust distributions and issue a notice flagging the property transfer pending review, he said. As for a restraining order, I need a clearer basis. Amanda nodded. Understood, Your Honor. We will file supplemental evidence within 48 hours. I exhaled, but it didn't feel like relief. It felt like the first step on a staircase that might or might not lead to my daughter. Outside the courtroom, Amanda turned to me. We got the freeze. That's big. Does he know? I asked. He'll know the second he tries to touch the money, she said. And he's going to try. Guys like him can't help themselves. He'll test the fence. What if he runs? I asked, voice low. Amanda's eyes sharpened. That's why we don't waste time. Now we move. She led me out of the courthouse and into a small office building nearby where she had a conference room reserved. 2 people were waiting, a private investigator named Joel, all quiet professionalism and coffee breath, and a digital forensics guy named Keon with a laptop covered in stickers. Joel stood and nodded. Dr. Mitchell. Keon didn't look up from his screen. We're gonna lock your digital life down, he said, like he was ordering lunch. Because if he's tried logging into your bank, he's sniffing around. I sat down, my palms flat on the table. Do it. For the next hour, Keon walked me through password changes, 2-factor authentication, device lists, recovery emails, and something called a SIM swap that made my skin crawl because it sounded like identity theft with extra steps. He had me call my phone provider and put a port-out lock on my number. He had me change my Apple ID security settings. He had me open my email account and check for forwarding rules. And then he froze. He said slowly. What? I asked. He turned the laptop toward me. You have an email forwarding rule. It's set to auto-forward certain messages. Bank alerts, legal documents, anything with trust in the subject. My throat went dry. To where he highlighted an address. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Maya's. It was a weird string of letters and a domain I didn't recognize. Amanda swore under her breath. Joel's eyes went dark. That means, Amanda said carefully, someone already had access to your email at some point. I didn't set that, I whispered. I know, Keon said, already clicking. We're killing that rule. We're pulling logs. We're preserving evidence. My brain started racing backward. How long had that been there? Weeks, months. Had he been watching me the whole time? Had he known I was coming before I booked the flight? I felt sick. Joel leaned forward. Dr. Mitchell, I need you to tell me something. Did your daughter ever have access to your devices? Like, did she ever borrow your laptop? Your phone? Maya, I said, blinking. She used my laptop once last summer when she visited me in Toronto. She needed to print something. Amanda's voice went colder. And Brandon could have been with her when she did that. A memory flashed. Maya, at my kitchen table, laptop open, Brandon in the background, on a call, smiling at me, and saying, Dr. Mitchell, you've done an amazing job raising her. I'd eaten that up like candy. I swallowed. So he's been monitoring me. Likely, Amanda said. Which means he's been preparing for you. Joel pushed a small notebook toward me. Now tell me every detail you remember about him. Physical description. Any names he used, any business cards, anything. I described him, tall, polished, friendly eyes that didn't feel friendly. The concerned husband voice. The way Maya looked at him for permission. Amanda listened, then nodded at Joel. Run him. Joel's mouth tightened. We already did some preliminary digging last night. Here's the problem. Brandon isn't consistent. Sometimes it's Brandon. Sometimes it's Brian. Sometimes it's Brad. Different last names. But there's a pattern. He slid a printed page across the table. A list of addresses. A list of women's names. A list of court records. My stomach turned over. I stared at one line until the words blurred. Marriage filed. Dissolution filed. Property transfer, contested. Those are his victims, I said, voice cracking. Allegedly, Amanda corrected, but her eyes said yes. Joel tapped the page. 2 of these women reported emotional abuse and coercion, but the cases went nowhere because they didn't cooperate. One vanished for 6 months and resurfaced in Arizona with a completely different story. Another moved abroad. And Maya, I whispered. Joel looked at Amanda before answering. Maya's at a high risk point. The asset freeze will threaten his plan. He could escalate. I gripped the edge of the table until my nails hurt. What do we do? Amanda leaned in. We make him make mistakes. We force him into the light. But we do it carefully, carefully, I repeated, feeling the weight of the word. Amanda continued. We're going to file for a temporary restraining order based on digital intrusion and harassment. The email forwarding is huge. That's unauthorized access. That is not normal husband behavior. And the attempted bank login, paired with that, makes it stronger. And Maya, I asked. How do we get to her? Amanda's gaze softened slightly, like she understood this was the part that mattered. We need a welfare check, but not the kind where a random cop knocks and he plays Mr. Perfect and Maya parrots his story. We need a specialized approach. Joel cleared his throat. I know a detective in Palo Alto who's trained in coercive control cases, he said. Not a guarantee, but better than standard. Amanda nodded. Good. Get him on the phone, Keon spoke up without looking away from his laptop. Also, we can try to locate Maya's phone if we can get access to her Apple ID or Google account. I don't have that, I said. She's private. Amanda's eyes narrowed. What about family sharing? Emergency contact? Anything. I shook my head. She never liked being tracked, Keon sighed. Then we do it the old-fashioned way. We watch the house, patterns, movement, who comes and goes. I blinked. You mean surveillance? Joel nodded. Non-invasive. Public areas only. Legal. We document. We build a timeline. I felt a wave of anger so hot it made me dizzy. My daughter is in my house, being controlled, and we re-talking about public areas only like we re-afraid of hurting his feelings. Amanda's voice got firm. Diana, listen, we're not afraid of him. We're afraid of him disappearing with her. The law is slow. He is not. I swallowed hard and forced myself to breathe. Okay, I said. So we move slow enough to be smart, fast enough to stop him. That's the spirit, Amanda said, but her tone stayed serious. Now, there's something else. She opened her laptop, pulled up a folder, and turned the screen toward me. A photo. My stomach dropped. It was Brandon. Same face. Different name under the photo. His real name, I asked, voice shaking. Amanda shook her head. We're not sure. This photo is from a complaint filed in 2019 under the name Evan Cross, another in 2021 under Travis Boone, another in 2023 under Brandon Hale. It's him. But the identifiers are slippery. Joel added, he's good at staying just out of reach. Different driver's licenses. Different LLCs. Different addresses. How is that possible? I asked, frustration cracking through. How does someone live like that and not get caught? Amanda's eyes hardened. Because people underestimate him. Because victims feel ashamed. Because families don't want to make a scene. Because the system isn't built for psychological captivity. My stomach turned. Keon suddenly said, hold up. He clicked rapidly, eyes scanning a log file. What? Amanda asked. Keon's face tightened. We just got a push notification from your bank alert system. Someone attempted a transfer from the trust-linked account. Amanda straightened. Now? Yeah, Keon said. 10 minutes ago. My heart slammed. He knows. Amanda grabbed her phone. We're filing the TRA today, and Joel, get eyes on that house immediately. Joel was already standing. On it. Amanda looked at me. Diana, I need you to stay calm. I laughed once, sharp and bitter. I am calm. I'm just done. Amanda's lips pressed together. Good, because here's what's coming next. She leaned closer. If he can't get the money, he might try to get rid of the problem. And to him, the problem is you. The air in the room went cold. I thought about the phone call. Stress isn't great for your heart. Not a threat, just a suggestion, a warning, a little poison wrapped in politeness. Joel spoke quietly. We're going to put a safety plan in place. Hotel change. No routine. No walking alone. I'm not a child, I snapped automatically. Amanda's voice was steady. Right now, you're a mother in a war you didn't start. Let people protect you so you can protect Maya. I swallowed my pride because she was right. We moved fast after that. Amanda filed paperwork like her hands were on fire. Keon printed logs and preserved digital evidence. Joel made calls. By late afternoon, I was sitting in a different hotel than the night before. Under a different name, with Linda blowing up my phone, asking why I wasn't back in Toronto yet. I couldn't tell Linda everything. Not yet. I texted, "Emergency. I'm safe. Call you soon." Then I stared at my phone until my eyes burned. At 7:43 p.m., Joel texted, "Eyes on house. Activity. He's packing." My chest tightened. Packing what? Another message, 2 suitcases. 1 duffel. He carried a locked file box. Maya came out after him. She looked numb. They got into a black SUV. My hands went cold. I typed, "License plate. Joel. Covered. Temporary tag. He's not dumb." Amanda called immediately. "We're initiating the welfare check through the detective I mentioned. But I need you to hear me. If he's moving her tonight, it means he knows the walls are closing in." "Where would he take her?" I asked, voice trembling. Amanda didn't hesitate. "Airport. Bus station. Or a rental in another county. He'll go wherever he thinks you can't follow." I stood up so fast the chair scraped. "I'm following," I said. Amanda's voice snapped. "No. You will not go chasing him like this is some action movie." "She's my daughter," I said, throat tight. "If he puts her on a plane, that's why we're working through law enforcement," she said. "Because if you show up, you'll become the story. He'll claim you're stalking. You'll spook Maya, and if he's got her conditioned to see you as the enemy, she might run from you." My legs felt weak. I sat back down hard. "What do I do?" I whispered. "If I can't even talk to my own child?" Amanda's voice softened. Just a little. "You do what you've been doing since you walked into that courtroom. You keep your head. You build the trap." "Trap," I repeated. She inhaled. "We know he wants control and money. We've blocked the money. Next, we block his movement. We get a judge to order Maya's appearance. We attach consequences. And we gather enough evidence that if he lies, it backfires." I looked down at my hands. They were trembling. A message pinged again from Joel. SUV headed toward San Francisco International Airport. My daughter. In a car, with a man who had already hacked my email and tried to drain my trust. The rage I'd been holding back cracked open. "Tell me where he is," I said to Joel. Amanda heard the change in my voice and went sharp again. "Diana. Don't." I stared at the hotel carpet like it might hold me down. Joel texted, "He's smart. Might not actually fly. Could be misdirection." Amanda said, "See. We don't know. He might circle and head south. He might park and wait. He might do anything to shake surveillance." I pressed my fingers to my temple, trying to think like a doctor, like a planner, not like a mother who wanted to rip the sky open. Then my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Again, my blood went ice. I answered without thinking. "What did you do?" He laughed softly. Doctor," he said, like we were old friends. "You're really committed to misunderstanding." "Where is Maya?" I demanded. "She's with me," he said, "where she belongs." I felt my vision tunnel. "She belongs with herself." He sighed like I was exhausting. "Listen, you can make this easy, or you can make it hard. But either way, you're not getting what you want." My voice went low. "You're going to regret this," he chuckled. "You keep saying that. It's cute." Then his tone changed. Not playful. Serious. "I saw you froze the trust," he said. "That was messy." "How do you know that?" I snapped. Then realized I already knew. He'd been watching my email, my accounts, my life. He continued, "So here's how this goes. You stop. You go back to Toronto. You let Maya live. Or," he paused, letting the silence do damage, "you keep pushing, and you'll learn what it feels like to lose someone for real." My throat tightened. "Are you threatening my daughter?" He laughed again, soft and chilling. "I'm warning you. Because I'm nice like that." I wanted to scream, but I forced my voice into ice. "If you touch her," I said, "I will bury you in court filings until your name is poison." He clicked his tongue. "That's the thing. You're still thinking in systems." "Hey, I'm thinking in people." Then he said the words that made my heart stop. "You know what Maya told me last night? She said she hates you." I froze, because the cruel part wasn't that he said it. The cruel part was that for half a second, a tiny part of me believed it. I slammed that thought down. "You're lying," he hummed. "Am I?" I heard a faint sound in the background. A breath, a tiny, almost whisper. And then, barely audible, Maya's voice. "Please, stop." My whole body locked. "Maya," I whispered, like saying her name might pull her through the phone. But his voice cut in, smooth as oil. "See, she's overwhelmed. You're stressing her out. Just like you always did." He was using her voice like a weapon. I swallowed hard. "Let me talk to her." "No," he said simply. "Not until you behave." The line went dead. I stared at my phone like it had just bitten me. Amanda was already talking, her voice urgent. "Diana, that call is evidence. Did you record it?" I blinked. "No." Okay, she said, thinking fast. "Next time he calls, put him on speaker and record. We're building proof of harassment and coercion." "Next time," I echoed. Amanda's voice was cold. "There will be a next time. He likes control. He likes playing. And right now, he thinks he can break you." I stood up, shaking. He used her voice. "I know," Amanda said softly. "That's the point. He's trying to make you emotional. Because emotional mothers make mistakes." I pressed my palms to my eyes. Then I lowered my hands and looked at my reflection in the dark TV screen across the hotel room. I looked old, tired, but my eyes were still mine. "No," I said quietly. Amanda paused. "No, what?" "No mistakes," I said. "Not this time." Amanda exhaled. "Good, because I just got confirmation from the detective. They're dispatching units to check the house and coordinate with airport security." My pulse spiked. "Airport security?" "Yes," Amanda said. "If he's actually headed to SFO, we might catch him before he boards. But we need something else." "What?" I asked. "A hook," she said. "A reason to legally detain him or compel Maya's safety assessment. The digital intrusion helps. The attempted transfer helps. But we need a bigger mistake." I stared at the wall, mind racing. Then it hit me like a slap. "He can't resist the money," I whispered. Amanda's tone sharpened. "Go on." "He tried to transfer," I said, breathing faster. "Even after the freeze. He's going to keep trying. He'll call again. He'll threaten again. He'll push again." Amanda's voice went almost satisfied, like she'd been waiting for me to say it. "Yes," I swallowed, heart pounding. "So we bait him." Amanda paused, then spoke slowly. "Diana, I was hoping you'd get there." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "How?" "We make him think there's a crack," she said. "We make him think you're scared enough to negotiate. We let him believe the trust can still be accessed if you cooperate. We get him to show his hand." My mouth went dry. "That's dangerous." "Everything about this is dangerous," Amanda replied. "But controlled danger beats uncontrolled panic." I stared at my phone, waiting for it to ring again. Somewhere out there, my daughter was in a car with a man who spoke like a therapist and moved like a thief. And I was about to do the one thing I hated doing in medicine and in life. I was about to set a trap and let the predator step into it. And the wild part, I could already feel he was going to. Because men like that always think they're the smartest person in the room. They always think the world is full of people too polite to fight back. And they always underestimate the one person who has nothing left to lose but the thing she loves most. My phone lit up. Unknown number. I hit record. My thumb hovered over the screen for half a second, and I swear time slowed down like it does right before a car crash. Unknown number. Same energy as before. The kind of call that doesn't bring news, it brings control. I hit record, put it on speaker, and answered with the calmest voice I could fake. Hello. His voice slid through the speaker like oil. Doctor. Finally. I kept my breathing steady. Where is Maya? A soft laugh. Still obsessed with the wrong question, I looked at Amanda, who was on video call with me now, her face tight, listening. She didn't speak. She just nodded once, like, keep going. I'm not here to fight, I said, forcing my voice to sound tired. I'm here to end this. He paused. The tiniest pause. Predators always pause when they smell surrender. Smart, he said. So you're ready to behave. I swallowed. I want to talk about the trust. Amanda's eyes sharpened. That was the hook. He didn't even pretend to be offended. He went straight for it. I knew you'd come around, he said. You're a logical woman. Underneath the drama. I clenched my jaw, but I kept my tone soft. The money is frozen. It's not frozen, he said confidently. It's delayed. Everything has a way around it. Not this one, I replied. Unless you help me. He chuckled. And why would I help you? Because, I said, letting my voice crack just enough. I'm willing to sign a statement saying Maya is safe and that I won't interfere anymore. I'll back off. I'll leave the country. But I need proof she's okay. Silence. Then he said it, casual as ordering coffee. You don't need proof. You need to let go. I forced a small, shaky laugh. I'm trying. Just 1 minute. Let me hear her voice properly, not a whisper. Let me know she's alive. Amanda mouthed good. A few seconds of muffled movement on his side. Then Maya's voice came through. Clearer this time. But wrong. Like she was reading something she didn't believe. Mom, she said flatly. Please, stop. You're hurting me. My whole chest tightened. I kept my face still anyway. Maya, I said gently. What's your middle name? There was a beat. A tiny stumble. Stop. The man cut in fast, sharp. No games. That reaction told me everything. He didn't want me asking anything that might wake her up. I leaned into it. I'm not playing games. I'm her mother. I'm allowed to ask my child a question. You're not her mother, he snapped. Mask off. You're a problem. There it was. The real him. Amanda's eyes locked on mine through the screen. I could see her already typing, capturing timestamps. I kept my tone careful. Okay, then let's do business. What do you want? He exhaled, calming himself like he'd practiced. Good. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to sign a letter acknowledging your mental instability and agreeing to no contact. You're going to stop trying to freeze assets. And you're going to transfer your remaining accounts into Maya's name. If you do that, I'll let her call you once. Closure. My stomach flipped. He said it like he was offering a gift. I stalled. That's a lot. It's clean, he said. It protects Maya. From you. I felt the rage surge again, but I swallowed it down. Send me the letter. I will, he replied instantly. Too fast, he'd already written it. And I need Maya, safe, I added. I need an address. He laughed. No. Amanda spoke for the first time, low but firm. He won't. Keep him talking. So I did. Then I need to meet you, I said. In public. You can bring her. 5 minutes. He went quiet. I could practically hear him deciding. Then, like the arrogant idiot he was, he said. Fine. Amanda's eyebrows shot up. Joel's voice came through from my phone's other line, muted but urgent. He agreed to meet where? I asked, keeping my voice shaky on purpose. He named a place. A coffee shop near the airport. Busy, cameras, plenty of exits. 2 hours, he said. If you're late, I'm gone. Click. The line died. I sat frozen for a second, hands trembling. Amanda's voice turned sharp. Okay, that's enough. We have him on recorded coercion. We have him demanding transfers. We have him controlling access to Maya. That's huge. Joel's call came in immediately. Airport units are already alerted. If he shows up there, we can coordinate. Amanda nodded at the screen. We do not send Diana in alone. I'm going, I said. Amanda's eyes narrowed. Diana, I'm going, I repeated, voice low. But I'm not going to play hero. I'm going to be bait. With a net, Joel. We'll have plainclothes nearby, Amanda, and a court order. Can you get one that fast? I asked. Amanda's mouth tightened. We can get an emergency order for a welfare check and a temporary restraining order based on recorded threats and digital intrusion. The recording makes the judge move. Within 40 minutes, Amanda had a judge on the phone. Papers flew like we were in a war room. I signed what I had to sign. Joel coordinated with the detective. Kian sent the audio file to Amanda and backed it up in 3 places, like his life depended on it. By the time we got to the coffee shop parking lot, my heart was pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. Linda would have yelled at me if she knew. She would have called me insane. But I wasn't insane. I was precise. The coffee shop smelled like burnt espresso and perfume and fake cinnamon. People tapped on laptops, laughed too loud, lived normal lives. I sat at a table near the window where cameras could see me. Amanda had instructed me exactly what to do. Don't stand up fast. Don't escalate. Keep your hands visible. Speak calmly. And then, right on time, he walked in. Same tall frame. Same friendly sweater. Same I'm a safe man costume. Maya followed behind him, and my breath stopped. She looked emptied out, not bruised, not physically harmed. But her eyes were dull, like the light behind them had been turned down. She wore a plain hoodie, hair pulled back, face blank. She didn't look at me at first. He guided her by the elbow like she was a suitcase. I stood slowly, hands open. Maya. Her gaze lifted, and for a second I saw her. A flicker, like a candle trying to relight. Then his hand tightened on her elbow and her eyes dropped again. He smiled at me. See, she's fine. I forced myself to breathe. I want to speak to her alone. He laughed quietly. No. Maya's lips trembled slightly. I leaned forward just a bit and said, softly, Maya, what's the name of the stuffed dog you used to sleep with when you were 5? Her eyes flickered. His smile froze. Stop, he hissed under his breath, just loud enough for me to hear. That was all the confirmation I needed. He was scared of her memory. I kept going, voice gentle. You called him Peanut. You used to tuck him in before you slept. Maya's throat moved. Her eyes filled slightly, like water pooling behind a dam. He stepped in between us, smiling at the room, still acting calm. We're done here, he said, tugging her arm. You're emotional. This is why she needed boundaries. And then I saw it. Maya's hand was clenched in her hoodie pocket like she was holding something. A phone, not his. Hers. She looked at me for half a second, and barely moving her lips, whispered, "Help." My whole body went cold hot. I didn't grab her. I didn't scream. I did exactly what Amanda drilled into me. I stepped back and said clearly, "Okay." He relaxed, thinking he'd won. And that's when the net hit. 2 plainclothes officers approached from the side, calm but firm. "Sir," one said, "we need to speak with you." His mask slipped for half a second. "Excuse me." "Welfare check." the officer said. And we have an order related to financial exploitation and harassment. Ma'am, he added, turning to Maya, are you okay? Do you feel safe? The man snapped, she's my wife. Maya's breathing sped up. The officer looked at her gently. You can answer for yourself. The man tried to step closer, but another officer moved between them smoothly. No pushing, no drama. Just control. Maya blinked rapidly, like her brain was catching up to reality. Then she said, voice shaking but clear, no, I don't feel safe. His face went gray. He tried to laugh. She's confused. Stop, Maya said suddenly, louder, stronger, like a crack in ice. Everyone froze. Maya turned her eyes to me, and for the first time, she looked like my daughter. My mom, she said, voice breaking, is Dr. Diana Mitchell. It hit me like a wave. I couldn't even speak. I just nodded, tears spilling. The officers moved fast after that. They separated them. They asked questions. They requested IDs. He stalled, argued, played offended. Then Keon's work did its magic. One officer stepped aside, checked something on his phone, then came back with a different look in his eyes. Sir, he said, your identification does not match our records. The man's jaw clenched. Also, the officer continued, you have an active warrant under another name. And just like that, the concerned husband costume fell apart completely. He lunged, not at me, not at Maya, but toward the exit. Big mistake. He didn't make it 5 feet before 2 officers pinned him. Fast, clean, and quiet. No movie-style punching. Just a grown man realizing the game ended. Maya made a choking sound and collapsed into the chair. I rushed toward her, but I stopped short when she flinched. Not because she didn't want me, because she'd been trained to flinch. So I did what I did with trauma patients. I gave her choice. I'm here, I whispered. Do you want me to hold your hand? Maya stared at me like she was remembering my face from a dream. Then she nodded, small and shaky. I reached out slowly. Her fingers grabbed mine like she was drowning. And she cried. Real crying. Not the controlled kind. The kind that says, I've been trapped and I'm finally safe. Later, in a private room at the station, Maya told us what he'd done. He didn't hit her. He didn't need to. He wore her down. He helped her, then isolated her. He told her I didn't respect her boundaries, that I was controlling, that I wanted to own her. He made her read articles about toxic parents. He fed her stories until she started doubting her own memories. He kept her exhausted, sleep-deprived, always processing. He made her sign papers after long nights of arguments when she just wanted peace. He convinced her she'd be free if she cut me off. And the worst part, he made her believe she was choosing it. When she said, I don't have a mother, she wasn't saying it because she hated me. She was saying it because he had rewired her to survive him. The court moved fast once he was in custody. The marriage was flagged. The deed transfer was challenged. The trust remained frozen and protected. Maya got a temporary protective order and started trauma therapy with a specialist Amanda recommended. And me, I didn't try to fix her overnight. I didn't force forgiveness. I sat with her through the quiet, messy rebuilding. Some nights she'd stare at the wall and whisper, how did I not see it? And I'd tell her the truth. Because you're human. And he was practiced. She moved into a safe apartment for a while. Not the big house. Not yet. We didn't sell it immediately. We didn't rush anything. The house became what it was always supposed to be. A backup plan, not a trap. Months later, one Saturday morning, Maya knocked on my hotel door in Toronto. She was visiting, holding a coffee in one hand and a small stuffed dog in the other. Peanut, she smiled, watery-eyed. I found him in a box, she said. I remembered. I hugged her then, tight and shaking, because that hug felt like getting my child back from the edge of a cliff. And before she left, she looked at me, serious. Mom, she said, I'm sorry. I touched her cheek gently. You don't owe me sorry, I said. You owe yourself healing. She nodded. And you didn't give up. I smiled, tired but proud. Baby, I didn't raise you to quit. Why would I quit on you? That's the twist people don't expect. The predator thought he was stealing a daughter from an older woman with money. What he really did was wake up the part of me that doesn't lose. The part that keeps receipts. The part that fights smart. The part that will burn the whole plan down to protect her child. And he learned the hard way. You can mess with someone's bank account. You can mess with paperwork. But when you mess with a mother's child, you better be ready for war. If this story hit you in the chest, I want to hear from you. What would you do if you found out someone was rewriting your loved one's mind and stealing their life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're here for emotional twists, family betrayal, and real payback energy, then, like this video, subscribe to Payback Files Stories, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Disclaimer: this story is fictional and created for entertainment. Names, characters, and events are imaginary. Any resemblance to real people or events is purely coincidental.